What's up, Internet? Welcome back to the Dangerfish. We've been off for a few weeks because of the COVID crisis. We've not been able to go to all of the usual places that we go fishing. So we've been doing Plan B. We know a lot of ponds and things like that we go to, but we're ready to get started up again. Georgia's just slowly getting opened up. I've heard of a few places that are open, so in the weeks ahead, we're gonna get cranked up and start fishing again on a regular basis. So be sure and stay tuned for all the future shows that are coming up. So a few weeks ago, we went out to the Crappie Lake and I had the best day fishing ever. I caught 43 crappie in one day. I didn't really catch anything else other than that. I'm usually balanced. I usually catch some bass, some brim, some crappie, but that day it was all crappie. Now, for me, it was a great day. However, from a fishery biologist point of view, it probably is something a little different. So my special guest today is Dr. Jay Shelton. He's from the University of Georgia. He's going to tell us about that lake. We're going to talk about the balance of it. We're going to talk about what the landowner wants out of the lake. And if you go out and you fish and you only catch one kind of fish, even if you catch dozens and dozens of them, it probably means something different for that lake. Maybe the health of the lake is a little bit off and needs to be addressed in some way. So joining me now is Dr. Jay. What's up, Dr. Jay?
What's up, Danger?
Hey, it's great to have you here today. So we went out there and we caught a ton of fish on that day. And so we decided that we were going to go back and do an actual study of that property. So when we went out there and we started measuring all those fish, what is it that we were trying to learn from doing that?
We were taking the lengths and the weights of all those crappie. And that will tell you something about what we call condition, or the relative weight of those fish. We know, because of years and years and thousands of samples across the entire state of Georgia, what the average weight of a fish should be for a given length. So what we did was we measured fish from that pond and we got their actual weights, and we compared those actual weights to their standard weights to see if they were in good condition or poor condition or somewhere in the middle.
And so how many fish do you need to measure to get an idea of a pond's health?
It's good to try to get about 30 or more fish of each species that you're gonna evaluate.
Okay, and so in the situation where the only fish that I caught that day was crappie, just in your mind, what does that mean to you?
Well, we have to remember that's one sample point, because we fished for one day, and the day, the time of the year, the time of the day can all contribute to what success you have.
Okay.
Also, strategy. So if you're fishing with smaller baits, for example, you're more likely to catch brim and crappie. If you're fishing with a big rubber worm or a larger lure, then you're more likely to get bass. But so that's one part of it that we have to consider. It's better to get multiple samples, but we have to remember that everything's related. So the condition of one species, for example, the condition of a predator species, is going to be directly affected by the condition of the prey population. So you can sample just one or a couple of species and still get some idea of whether the lake is balanced or not.
Well, I don't think I was specifically targeting crappie. I use a rooster tail a lot because, rooster tail will catch just about any small fish in the lake. And it's my go-to lure. But after a while, I switched over to a plastic lizard. And I was catching crappie on a plastic lizard. And I wasn't really expecting that, even though I was targeting bass at that time. But I didn't catch any bass on that day. We know that the day that we went out and did the actual sampling, some bass were caught. So we know bass are in there, and some good bass. But I didn't catch any the day that I went.
So we think about that in terms of, we call it catch per unit effort. So our catch rate on crappie was extraordinarily high for the amount of effort that we put in that day. And while on the surface that seems like a great thing, it can also be indicative of some cause for concern. In the case of crappie populations in general, they go through these boom and bust cycles. And what I would say we were seeing was that boom cycle where the crappie population is very high. Now that's great But the problem with that is it's not sustainable. So we can expect the bust. The best way to manage that is actually to harvest large numbers of crappie to prevent that population from getting on the imbalance side, from creeping from balance to imbalance. So harvesting crappie is an important part of the management of a lake that has crappie in it.
So, you know, you see a crappie and it's, you know, bigger than your hand, and you feel like you got you a nice little slab there, and it probably is. And then you pull up a 2.5 pounder and it looks like a mutant. And so a little pond of 3.5 to 4 acres, it has multiple 2.5 pounders in there. What does that say?
Well, that's one that probably is being managed well, or is in pretty good balance.
Really?
But we have to remember this: a big fish can get big in two ways. You can have big fish that are young but rapidly growing and healthy and getting all the nutrition that they need, or you can just have an old fish that got big slowly over time. And the first is more desirable. The bigger, older fish are not as desirable because the balance, the overall productivity is not the same in those two scenarios.
That makes sense. Okay, well, we had a great day when we went out there and measured all those fish. We're going to show you the footage here in just a minute. And so we also have some other ponds that we're going to go to pretty soon and do some filming. Will you come back and join me for all that?
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me today. I've got some gifts for you for being our guest today. And thank you, Dangerfish fans. I'll see you at the next show. All right, so we're gonna catch a bunch of crappie today and take them back and get their weight and measurement and find out what their relative size is. First fish of the day is a brim. A brim, that ain't right. Uh-oh. He's there.
They get light today.
Another brim. That can't be a brim. It's a brim. I hit the brim bed.
Oh, you got him. On the fly rod. Nice.
First crappie of the day.
Yeah, that's the first one. Pretty cool. That might be bigger than those two we caught yesterday. One of those. I wish I had a scale so I could weigh it.
Well, I've caught exactly 2. So it It's just Dangerfish, all one word, and then space TV. Dangerfish TV.
I'll put it in my phone because I can't remember nothing.
I've caught more brim today than ever.
We caught a few yesterday, not many.
Two crappie. That's it. 3.
You got one? Yeah.
I've caught mostly brim.
Yeah, I saw it. What is that? Is that a boogie? Have you fished those 3 poles yet?
I fished the one on the right side. And
Those 3 right there.
what about them?
Have you fished around those yet?
No, I've been avoiding them because of the people. I don't want to get in the way of the landowners. That's a bluegill that was tugging on it. The tweezers. That's not a bad one. never know. Unhooked at the boat.
Test 23.5.
165.
25. Caught that one on the fly rod.
Nice.
You can tell because he's still kicking it.
197.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful.
Welcome back, Danger fans. It has been another great day at the Crappie Lake. We had all our friends here. The whole Dangerfish team was here. Dr. Jay Shelton, De'Ara Mosley, Steve Norris, our friend Laura, and myself were here catching crappies so that we could weigh them, measure them, and on a future show we'll come back and talk about what we learned from the crappie, and I better say it right, from the crappie that we caught in this lake today. You know, one thing that Dr. J was telling us about was the boom cycle, and I think everybody would agree we hit the boom cycle on this pond. The catch per effort ratio, and I'll tell you one thing, and anybody that's done any fishing at all will tell you that this is not the norm. Usually you can go out to a pond and you may catch 1, 2, 5, 8 fish. You may have a great day, catch 20 fish. That would be a great day. Normally your effort is a lot higher in ratio to the fish that you actually catch. The one thing that's not on that graph is the amount of enjoyment received. And I think that's what makes all the difference. It does for me. I don't care if I catch no fish or 1 fish, or I do care if I catch 40 fish. That was an awesome experience. But if I don't catch a ton of fish, if I catch just a few fish, I have still thoroughly enjoyed myself. And that's why I like to fish. And that's why I like to fish out of a kayak. I really appreciate everybody that's tuned in today. Join me for my next show at Sandy Creek Park, Athens, Georgia. Don't just go fishing, you go kayak fishing.